How concerned will the king be about this and all the allegations?
It would be astonishing if he wasn't concerned.
Andrew Mountbatten Winter was known as the Queen's favorite son, living a life most people only see in movies. Palaces, staff everywhere, and non-stop privilege. But someone who knew him way before the scandals hit the headlines says the warning signs were already there, even back when he was just a kid in the nursery. His behavior wasn't exactly low-key, and it definitely didn't go unnoticed. And here's the twist. It wasn't some gossip blogger or royal critic saying this. It came from inside the palace walls. His own nanny, Mabel Anderson, spoke on it. She wasn't just any nanny either. She looked after multiple royal children, including King Charles, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. Anderson lived to be 100 years old, staying connected to the royal family for decades, which gave her words some serious weight. King Charles even showed her major respect later on, reportedly visiting her in person for her 100th birthday, bringing the official royal telegram and sitting down to tea like it was nothing. But way before that sweet moment, things with Andrew weren't so smooth. Reports mentioned in the Mail and Nigel Hawthorne's book Prince Andrew, The End of the Monarchy and Epstein, say Anderson once joked that the nursery could barely contain him, and that says a lot. She even gave the young prince a nickname because of how he acted, and it wasn't exactly kind. She called him the young imp, and at times she went even further, calling him Baby Grumbling. Those names didn't come out of nowhere either. They were tied to his constant temper, stubborn streak, and the way he acted as a child. According to stories Anderson shared later, the young prince was always stirring something up around the palace. Some of it might sound small at first, but it still caused chaos behind those royal walls. In one moment, he allegedly took apart his nanny's radio by removing all the valves, leaving it completely useless. And another time, he reportedly tied together the shoelaces of palace staff, which could have ended badly if someone tripped. Then there's one of the stranger claims. Andrew supposedly put itching powder into Queen Elizabeth's bed inside Buckingham Palace. That's not just a prank. That's the kind of move that had people raising eyebrows even back then. Anderson later remembered a moment when the Queen herself reacted to his behavior after one particularly frustrating incident. Reports say the Queen admitted, with clear irritation, that Andrew is not always a little ray of sunshine about the home. That one line hits differently now, especially when people look back at how things turned out. Even during those early years, the difference between Andrew and his siblings was already showing. Charles and Anne, for example, were born before their mother became queen in 1952, so they had a more grounded and traditional upbringing before royal life went into full intensity. Andrew, on the other hand, grew up right in the middle of all that power and attention, and it showed in ways people couldn't ignore. Andrew, however, came into the world when Elizabeth was already firmly on the throne, and that changed everything. From day one, he was surrounded by more attention, more luxury, and way more royal treatment than his older siblings ever experienced. According to accounts mentioned in Hawthorne's book, Andrew didn't just have one nursery. He had access to 7 different nurseries spread across multiple royal palaces. That's a level of privilege that's hard to even picture. Staff were always around, catering to his every move, creating an environment that Charles and Anne never really had growing up. As he got older, Andrew was sent to Heatherdown School in Ascot, a traditional prep school known for educating children from elite families. After that, he moved on to Gordonstoun in Scotland, the same tough school King Charles had attended. But unlike Charles, who reportedly struggled there, Andrew adapted quickly and seemed to handle the environment with no major issues. Once he finished school, he stepped into a completely different chapter by joining the Royal Navy and training as a helicopter pilot. This was a big shift from the mischievous kid people remembered. His military career helped reshape how the public saw him, giving him a more serious and disciplined image. In 1982, during the Falklands War, Andrew flew helicopter missions for the Royal Navy, and that brought him real respect across Britain. His popularity shot up during the 1980s, with many calling him one of the monarchy's most charismatic figures. But looking back now, that image didn't last, and the shift in how people see him today is hard to ignore. Everything changed. Today, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is living almost completely out of the royal spotlight. His own brother, King Charles, removed his military titles and royal patronages years ago after the controversy tied to Jeffrey Epstein, and that alone shook his status in a major way. But recently, things have taken an even more serious turn. Reports say that around the time of his 66th birthday, Andrew was arrested at a residence on the Sandringham estate in Norfolk. According to Thames Valley Police, the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, which instantly raised major questions.
Great to have you. There are, of course, reports today accusing Andrew Mountbatten Windsor of sharing another official document with one of his business contacts, but we've seen a week of negative headlines and revelations. How concerned will the king be about this and all the allegations?
It would be astonishing if he wasn't concerned.
The investigation is set to focus on claims that Andrew may have shared sensitive information during his time as the UK's trade envoy between 2001 and 2011. Police confirmed that a man in his 60s from Norfolk was detained, questioned for hours, and then released under investigation. That detail alone had people paying close attention. In an official statement released on February 19th, Thames Valley Police said they carried out searches linked to the case in Norfolk, and those searches have now been completed. Andrew reportedly spent around 11 hours in custody before being released, but the situation is far from over. Right now, the investigation is still ongoing, and the full details about what may have been shared, or if anything actually was, remain unclear. However, reports suggest authorities are closely examining communications between Andrew and individuals connected to Epstein during his time representing Britain abroad, and that's where things could get even deeper. For many royal watchers, that arrest wasn't just another headline. It felt like a major turning point in Andrew's long fall from royal favor. This is someone who was once believed to be Queen Elizabeth's favorite son, living comfortably in the massive royal lodge in Windsor and showing up at all the big royal events like it was routine. Now, everything looks completely different.
By the allegations and of course affected in his role as monarch as well, because the headlines are all about this, which, no institution wants that.
Andrew has been moved out of Royal Lodge and relocated to Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate, a much smaller and more low-key property that was once used by Prince Philip during his retirement. That shift alone says a lot about how far things have changed. These days, he doesn't carry out royal duties, doesn't appear at official engagements, and is rarely seen at public family gatherings. It's a sharp contrast to the life he used to live, and people have definitely noticed. Behind the scenes, there's even been talk about his place in the royal line of succession. Some commentators are suggesting he could be removed entirely, although nothing official has been confirmed. At the same time, King Charles is continuing to reshape the monarchy, focusing on a smaller, more controlled group of working royals, and Andrew is clearly no longer part of that circle. Interestingly, right in the middle of all this chaos, King Charles still made time for someone from the royal family's past, and that says a lot. Shortly after Andrew's arrest made headlines, Charles went to visit Mabel Anderson to celebrate her 100th birthday, keeping a promise he had reportedly made years earlier. According to reports in The Telegraph, the visit was calm and personal, with the two sitting down over tea while Charles handed over the traditional telegram given to people in Britain who reach 100. It was a quiet but meaningful moment, showing just how long Anderson had stayed connected to the royal circle. But here's where things get even more interesting. Anderson wasn't just any former staff member. She helped raise the royal children, including Andrew himself. And now, the stories she shared about him years ago are getting a whole new level of attention. Royal watchers are revisiting those old memories, and suddenly they don't sound so harmless anymore. What once seemed like playful mischief, like tying shoelaces together in palace corridors, now feels like early signs of a much stubborner and more difficult personality. Of course, childhood stories don't define someone's entire life, and that's important to keep in mind. But when those stories come from someone who spent years inside the royal household, caring for the Queen's children day in and day out, people are going to listen and they're going to take it seriously. Looking back, those small moments from the nursery are now being viewed in a completely different light, and that shift in perspective is hard to ignore. And hearing that she called the young prince the young imp has definitely grabbed attention from royal watchers everywhere. It adds a whole new layer to a story that already feels hard to believe. From being seen as the Queen's favorite son to living on the outside of royal life, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's journey has taken turns that nobody really saw coming back when he was just a mischievous kid running through palace halls. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you think stories from royal insiders, like former nannies, give a real inside look at what these personalities were actually like? Or do you think some of these childhood stories get exaggerated over time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. If you're into stories like this and want more deep dives into royal drama and behind-the-scenes moments, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. And don't forget to comment below. Your opinion matters more than you think.